Grateful to be here, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Like Joel and Joe said, like you guys could be anywhere, but you're investing your time into learning, bringing Christ into your business or what your plans are. So this is beautiful. So I appreciate it. I'm very grateful to be here. Like Joe and Joel said, just met them 2 months ago. We were on a podcast. We hit it off. I thought it was a great podcast, if I'm biased to that, but part of my testimony, they shared it. So my wife and I and my 2 children, we moved from Pennsylvania to San Antonio just over a year now, and it was led by the Lord. And then we got a lot of weird looks when we told people that for the first time, because we were, I guess if you look at it from an outside in, we were kind of the, hey, 2 6-figure salaries, the white picket fence American kind of family, right? 2 kids, everything looked like you'd do that for a long time, I guess was the easiest way to put that. But we had this burning desire. I remember just waking up and going to sleep with that burning desire, like there's more, there's gotta be more. At the time, I would say that, yes, I was walking with the Lord, but it was not as strong as it is now. So I started to feed that with the Word. I started to feed that with discipleship and just intentional relationship with the Lord. And then He revealed San Antonio, Texas to us, which I've never visited San Antonio. My wife has never visited San Antonio. We're like, what are we doing? And I actually was linked up to my business partner now, Nathan, via Instagram. Instagram does some good things, y'all. And that's how we ended up here. So we started off with a small men's ministry. I was more of the fitness coach, health coach for that. And then Iron Forge, the gym that we have now, our physical building, kind of evolved. That was never part of the original plan. And so now we're really trying to marry faith and fitness together. So that's an expedited piece of my testimony. But one thing I will say that I've learned in this, just that having that sensitivity of the Lord is really what's paving our path now. So yes, we were obedient. We did give our yes, but that has opened up so many doors. So if you guys get anything from anything that we talk about tonight, being sensitive and intimate with the Lord, but giving Him your yes will only lead to abundance. So that's really what I want to drive home tonight. As I know everybody here, you're obviously kingdom-minded. I'm sure there's probably people in here that have many more years in business than me. But what I'm hoping to share is how that intimacy with the Lord is really, I would say, accelerating progress in business, being a husband, being a son, and all of those things. So that's kind of where we are. That's kind of how we got here. I mean, there's a lot of stories in between. I am, I guess, a health and fitness coach by trade. Obviously, I have a gym. I do this online coaching as well. That was how I really started in entrepreneurship. And part of my testimony is I was in it strictly just for monetary gain, just strictly to scale it, strictly just to flex this cool side hustle that I thought was pretty neat, that I could make more money doing that than what I did working with the federal government. It was very worldly. And now I'm kind of in this mode of, I'm people first. I'm the Lord first. I'm Christ-centered now. It's much different. The KPIs are very different than what they were when I first started, and it's paying dividends monetarily, which is very interesting, which I'm sure a lot of you are aware of. But yeah, so now we're here, and I'm excited just to get into any more specific questions that we might have, just to get into some details, and I'll share more of my testimony, what I've come from, overcome, and where I'm growing and where we're at now. So I guess, well, you guys can ask me any questions as well.
I want to start with, faith in action, right?
Oh, cool.
Leaving a corporate job. We kind of talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah.
Leaving a corporate job, the government, right? Like the golden handcuffs, as we called it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that was good.
And you got a word from the Lord to move, right? Faith in action, right? So you're leading your family, have a cush job, and now you get this word to leave. What was that like in the sense of speed in acting on that decision, but as well as navigating that conversation with your wife, and trusting and like, hey, this is the Lord.
Yeah, so that I mentioned that burning desire. That for me, that probably, man, thinking back, probably about a year. I was feeling that for a year. So I began just to intentionally pray on that. Like, Lord, what is this? What is this feeling? Because yes, I've always known that the Lord has had His right hand over me in whatever I was doing, but this felt different. I wasn't used to going to bed empty and waking up empty or not feeling fulfilled in what I was doing. So I wanted to pray into that and what what is that? Kind of asking like, Lord, what is this? Is this you, right? It was bringing me peace, so that's usually my gauge to know if it's the Lord or not. So I'm like, okay, so this is you. What do you want me to do with this desire, this feeling? Like, what is it? So it after I realized that it was the Lord, it was an accelerated process. So that was probably the end of 2023, and we had moved in June of 2024. So it was extremely fast. But when I'd realized that the Lord was pulling me from a career that I had worked toward for, my entire life at that point, presenting that to my wife Amanda was actually a lot easier than I thought. It was an interesting conversation. I can picture, we were in our kitchen, and my wife, she walks intentionally with the Lord. I mean, really, she was a spiritual leader in our home for the first 4 or 5 years of our marriage. So that's part of another piece to it. But when I presented this to her, there wasn't much friction at all. There wasn't much friction at all. I think why there wasn't much friction is because of how, I guess, I began leading at home as a spiritual leader. So she knew that this wasn't just an impulsive reaction just to try to make more money or just go after worldly things. So there was a foundation there laid before I presented the question, which I think is important. If you guys are going through any life changes, obviously I think that's a big piece. But we talked about it. We ended up coming down here as a family just to test it out and kind of rent the whole car, rent the Airbnb, really make sure, we would enjoy it and it'd be a good foundation for our children. And that flight home, I texted my realtor. I was like, we're going to list our house. But we had decided it. We decided on the move together while we were here. Now, the tricky one was relaying that to our parents, because we're both from Pennsylvania. We were rooted there our entire lives. And that's where the friction kind of began. So in our core four, I guess, between my wife and I, we were united, that brought a lot of peace, because you never know how that conversation is really going to go. But she felt the yes. She knew it wasn't just coming from a worldly desire. And, the parents and in-laws scenario is a little different. That was a little more intense, because, their daughter and grandchildren are moving away. Right. That's never happened in their family. So there's elements of giving a yes that I wasn't prepared to handle, right, beyond that. But the conversation with my wife was peaceful. It was really neat. It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously holding that responsibility, leading the household. Right. But how has that decision, you see in the results from that one decision, how has that impacted you leaning into your faith more and being decisive in your business, even in your personal life, because what's on the other side of it? How has that changed in your perspective?
I think I have come to learn what full submission means, like full surrender. So the yes was one thing, but now packing the house and moving and then relying on true faith alone here is a whole nother aspect. Like, yes, it's fun to read about, it's fun to talk about, pray about, but now having to live and act on that is a whole other thing, because we all know, everybody in here is in business, it's not rainbows and unicorns every day. Like, that's fun. It's fun to think it is. There's days, of course there's fear, of course there's stress, there's anxiety, but knowing that the Lord is my rock and my foundation, like that is, I have come to truly respect that and honor that as a son. So now being put kind of against that rock as my foundation, I'm not slipping. It's I know I have him. I know we can go to him and cast those burdens to him that we don't need to carry. When normally before giving that yes, I was always trying to do it out of my strength, my endurance, everything, on my own. So I think I learned how to be a son, and I learned how to give things to my father that weren't mine to carry and aren't. So it's a big lesson, So yeah.
No, that's good. I want to talk about collaborations, right? Because obviously when you're in business, to grow, you need to collaborate, but also just in the ministry as well. To grow, and what God wants you to do is to collaborate.
Yeah.
So you talk about, because you met Nathan online, can you talk about that journey? Like, it was always rainbows, right? So can you talk about, hey, I'm a business owner, I'm a ministry, I'm trying to collab with someone, but I have some struggles because I got hurt. So the trust factor, how do I know who to trust? How can I gauge that? Can you talk about your experience with Nathan and kind of ups and downs with that?
Yeah, well, the first part of that, I think collaboration is everything. I really do. Like this networking, locking arms with brothers and sisters aligned in the same mission, I think is everything. We're not meant to do this life alone. And I think that's something that I've learned in this process, because Nathan and I tried to do a lot of it independent early on, and we realized that it's bigger than us. It's bigger than us, it's stronger than us, and it's gonna take much more endurance than we can handle. So the collaboration piece was everything, but as far as knowing what I know now about business partnerships and in general and collaborating with different people, the values need to be aligned. So we connected on faith. We connected on what it means to be a godly man. We connected on what it means to be a son. So that made the decision much easier. So I think it's, instead of the previous, before being saved, my decision would have been, oh, that guy's cool, he's successful monetarily, let's go. I'm gonna act on that. It seems like we would jive. But now, where's the fruit, right? So that, I think, where I look at the people that I surround myself now, it's like, what fruit do they bear? And it's visible, and you realize what's the real fruit and what's not. Obviously, there's a lot that can be painted that way. But in terms of collaboration, it's not just a numbers game anymore. It's all about, really, if you're aligned with them, value-based, and the fruit. So that's really how I gauge it, and that's how I continue to gauge it now. And that's something that we've learned as our community has grown. We wouldn't have had the success on social media or in the business in the first year that we're alive right now without the collaboration with the appropriate people. So that's usually how I do it. Make sure there's alignment, and then there's fruit to prove that. Yeah.
With the topic of social media, you referenced it before, just how powerful it is for your business. I don't know if you want to share maybe some tips or tricks or something that you found super beneficial that has, you talking about the KPIs, has completely transformed your guys' business and growth, because you guys are building a movement as well.
Right, for sure. The big thing for us was actually capturing the community aspect. It's not just demonstrating cool exercises or being the hardest working gym. It's the purpose behind our content is more deeper rooted than just trying to go viral. It's to show how we're combining using fitness as the vehicle to bring people to faith and bring people to the Lord. So being able to capture that in social media, it doesn't have to be anything extravagant, but there is a unique niche to it as well. And we have gotten the comments of, oh, you're just using the Lord's name just to go viral, and that's not the case. But what we do is we try to really capture the benefits of that community and what that does when brothers and sisters are together, and lives being saved in a gym. It's very unique. Cool. It's very unique. So that's something I guess if I was to give a tip on social media, and this isn't groundbreaking news, but how can you separate yourself? What is something that you can bring as far as a deep-rooted purpose, whatever lane that you're in, whatever venue that you're in business? What separates you? Why should they trust you? And then there's that certain piece of trust that you're not just trying to sell people all the time. Right. It's not just it's a call to action after every single ad or everything. Yes, there's lead generation strategies, of course, but it's more so how do they trust you? We talk about the fruit and different things. They want to get to know you beyond just the sale. So that's what we've been able to kind of combine and make cohesive, is that community and then that trust factor. Mm-hmm. So that's been big. So our events have been something that have captured most of our social media, and it's a free event that we do once a month for community, and it's just we call it Weights and Worship. So you bring people in, you tear them down a little bit with a workout, and then there's live worship in a gym. That's very unique, right? It's pretty cool.
The ones that made the news that had a revival?
Yeah, that's it.
About
yeah, a couple hundred people. Yeah. So people, and Joel said it when we started. There's such a hunger for that. There's such a thirst for the Lord. And what we try to, and my pastor talks about this a lot, you don't have to just encounter the Lord in the four walls on Sundays. So we were able to capture that, fortunately, at an event that we would do, and just to show that, yes, the Lord is present wherever you are, where He's in us. We're the body. So you bring the body together, and then you combine it with live worship, and it's really beautiful what He does. So those are the kind of things that we look to capture. We're not purposely trying to chase virality. It's just showing where our heart is in the business. Right. What we stand for, and how we are truly Christ-centered. We're not just saying that we are. Right. So that's
Yeah, there's a heart behind it.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we always talk about standing on business. As entrepreneurs, we'll stand on business, right? But a lot of times we won't stand on our faith. We'll be like, yeah, I'm a Christian. Right?
I'm a little lukewarm.
Like, you already know I'm a Christian based off of
Right.
what you already saw. Right?
Yes, yeah.
So
yeah.
like that's super important. I love what you guys are doing because health and fitness, like that world, bodybuilding is a broken world, right?
Oh, no
like,
doubt, no
some
doubt.
of the biggest guys that you see on stage, like they're dealing with
Most
a
insecure.
whole bunch of different things, mental, like body dysmorphia. From you guys and what you have created, can you like talk about like the fellowship and like things that you've helped people overcome by just creating that community and openness with God?
For sure. Yeah, a part of it was being honest and vulnerable about our testimonies. Nathan and I, we both came from the vanity side of bodybuilding and fitness, where it was all about the six packs all year round, the low body fat percentage, and just the emptiness that comes with. We are able to share that with people to say, that's not what it's all about. And if you think about that type of purpose, it's so shallow and that dries up so fast.
Right.
And you're always chasing the next thing and chasing the next show, the next title, the next magazine cover, whatever it is. So we help people see that, no, you don't have to be this supermodel to enjoy fitness. You can use it as your vehicle to honor the vessel God gave you. And then we just bring that connection together. So that's something, sharing testimonies is very big. And then a lot of that comes out after we work out, being intentional with prayer in a gym after working out. Again, there's something that's said about I wouldn't say breaking the body down. I guess that is what happens in a gym, but I guess surrendering, like dying to yourself, dying to yourself, and then filling up with the Spirit. So that's what we always try to combine. And sharing those testimonies and putting people in that environment sometimes we're leading people to really feel their presence of the Lord for the first time outside of church. Or if they maybe haven't, maybe they attend a church that they don't feel that. So that's really how we're after, to always like just abide and really dwell in His presence wherever you are. So that's really where we're driving to go. Yeah, yeah, it's cool.
No, I think it's awesome because everything you're talking about now, like this is something I have so many ideas that I used to want to do. Fitness and faith, doing camps and getting kids together, getting the youth, getting older folks together. And that's something that God's put in my heart, but it wasn't for me to do. A lot of times God gives us a call and gives us a dream. We feel like we need to go do it. But God's probably just saying, hey, I would call you to the vision. I didn't call you to build it. I'm going to connect you with someone that's going to do that. And so with Donny, I didn't even know everything he was doing. I just saw it. But I'm like, God, that's something I really wanted to do. And God was like, that's the person you need to connect with. And it happened authentically.
Yeah.
So collaboration is something that God loves, but just be open to it. Like the only way you're going to grow is only through collaboration.
That's good.
So, I mean, it wasn't really a question. I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah,
but I did want to
that's
open,
good.
unless you have another question, I wanted to open it up to the audience.
Yeah.
I think anyone has questions here. Business related.
I have a question.
Sure.
The most important, to me, the most important thing you said is about the connection with your wife and how she was the spiritual leader of you and your family at the time. So my question to you as a single man, right? How do you find that kind of woman, that not the woman that I'm looking for to be a spiritual leader in my house, but the woman that loves the Lord like that and contain herself dealing with you while you were trying to figure it out?
That's a good question. Yeah. I still ask myself the same thing. I don't know how it happened. No, I've asked my wife that question before, and we met at a network event just like this. Not to get all the singles excited. That's not what I'm going for. But she mentioned. So although I wasn't in, I guess, spiritual shape, we'll call it, to lead a family from that perspective, she was able to identify where my heart was. So I've always had a soft heart. I'll be honest with that. But my issue was I was never putting it into action in the world. So I think she was able to see something before it came. So how do you find that?
Were you always a Christian?
So I was born and raised Catholic. And then I came to Christ. I was saved September of 2022. So yeah, it's transitioned. And man, as beautiful as that is, like, never had a relationship with the Lord like I do now. That's a fact. That's a fact. So yeah, I would say she was sensitive enough in the spirit to know my heart was pure. And she was never forceful with it either. It was really interesting. Like, she would just, plant seeds, and she led by example. She was in the Word every day. She lived like a Proverbs 31 woman. I mean, that's just what she did. And that's a great question. I laugh because I praise the Lord that it worked out. But yeah, I would say just keep walking your walk, brother. Keep who you are. Model who you are and what you stand for.
Can you go deeper on? I like what you said, right? Everybody hears you say yes. It's abundance. Everybody loves that, right?
Yeah.
They want to praise God. The abundance is coming because I said yes.
Sure.
But they don't see the aftermath. And I've seen so many young Christians and believers, they second guess themselves because when you say yes,
Yeah.
you said you weren't ready for what was going to happen, not with your wife, but with your in-laws, right?
Yes.
And I see so many people, they stop the vision that God gave them because of that.
Yeah.
Go deeper, like what did you learn about that situation when you said yes
Yeah.
to abundance, you said yes to the Lord, the abundance came.
Yeah.
But then now you had
It's a couple curveballs.
Yeah.
It's a good question. So I learned what spiritual warfare is. As soon as you give that yes, I mean, even if you're walking as a Christian, I think we need to accept that it's not going to be this smooth, easy, paved sidewalk of a road. Same thing in business, especially when you start to apply that to the marketplace. I learned that, okay, giving a yes, that's now a threat to the enemy. So I need to put that Ephesians 6 armor on every day, or he's gonna break me down. And there were points where I knew that we weren't going to stop, or we were always going to be obedient to the Lord and be here. But it took intentional prayer together, covering one another. So that's when we began to intentionally cover each other in prayer, which we weren't doing in our marriage previously, and that got us through. And something that I didn't, to be real, I was we were accused of joining a cult, in Texas. My in-laws were, they weren't threatening in any way, but they were very stern on me taking their daughter and grandkids from them. They'll never know them. So there was a lot of shame and a lot of guilt trying to be casted down.
It happens
And
when you move states away from grandparents.
For sure.
It happened when I was little. My parents moved from Chicago down here.
Wow.
My
Yeah.
grandmother was very upset. Took all their
Yeah.
cars. 'Cause they
Sure.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, and I mean that certain generations are very rooted in where they're from. And at first I was angry, if I'm being real. I wasn't prepared for the anger that was going to follow that I'd harbored in my heart, and I didn't have forgiveness at first. So what I've learned was, okay, I need to look at this through a different lens, because this resentment and what I'm harboring is not healthy. This is not of the Lord. It's not bringing peace at all. It's not going to mend a relationship with my in-laws or my parents by any means. So I needed to see it from their side. They're losing, in their eyes, they're losing intimacy with their daughter and grandkids, which isn't completely false. They're going to lose time that they had. We were with them every other weekend. So those were things that you just don't expect. You kind of I looked at everything from a monetary financial side. Like, okay, here's where we're going to live. This is going to be income. Here's how we'll be, structured with our insurance, just the worldly things. I never considered the family ties, that were potentially going to be affecting a lot of the move and kind of the speed bumps. So there's a lot of spiritual things that were attempting to creep in and place guilt on us for making this decision. But what we learned through our intentional prayer and our covering is the Lord is the truth. He's the way.
How did you respond to that? I think
To my in-laws?
I think sometimes you want to say something.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Sometimes it's better to be silent. What was your response?
Mine was silence. I knew, because at that moment before I came to forgiveness from that anger, nothing that was going to come out of my mouth would do anything but scar. So I went silent. I was still honoring them. I would acknowledge messages and different things, but there needed to be that time, that stillness, to let that pass, if that makes sense. And that's new, because previously, before the Lord, I'd be ripping them apart. The power of the tongue is real, and I knew anything that was going to come out of my mouth wouldn't have, but only done damage and
I feel like
prevented
more and more
that.
people
So
are going to start moving around like that, though, from family and stuff now, with like electronics and being able to do video calls. Like
Yeah.
back then you couldn't really do that, but being away seemed so odd. And the family household was
Sure.
a lot different. It was bigger.
Yeah,
and
for
now
sure.
everyone's just like, I want to go here, and I can still talk to my friends or family.
right, FaceTime
Yeah,
and different things, and yeah,
different.
we schedule FaceTimes
They
with the
don't see it
grandparents.
as that.
Sure, and they're just
Yeah.
not familiar with it, and that's a good point, because that's the lens I had to look through. that I wasn't considering. Like, of course, it seems easy to us. We grew up with that tech. They did not. So to them, this is world ending. You know, that family is everything to them, and I love that about them. And it was just that was something I just wasn't ready for. You know, it seems obvious, right? Telling that story, that seems very obvious that that's going to happen. But yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, it is. Sure.
I do have a question. I know you have mentioned that of family, but what about with your partner? Like, and my question is, I know you say that you learn how to be a son, right? So having a partner can be very challenging,
Sure.
right? So how do you find that balance, or do you ever question, hey, this is the right path that the Lord is showing me with this particular person?
So through discipleship, and I'll go into that a little more. But fortunately, I'm covered by Pastor Jake Diaz, Kingdom Legacy. So anytime that an opportunity or anything's presented to me, I'm not quick to act impulsively on it anymore. I'm taking it to the Lord first. If I'm still struggling to understand if it's the Lord or being confused in any way, I'll take it to my covering and my pastor. So that in this covering and mentorship, business-wise, or even like the spiritual fathers and mothers out there, is pivotal, y'all. I can't even. I wish I could just hit this table. I could, but that has been everything. I have a few people in the back over here that cover me in different ways as well. But without that covering, I think if you're isolated, the enemy has that much more of an opportunity to twist things and lead you down a path that's not of the Lord, because he's very strategic, very studious, right? So that would be my suggestion for that, and that's where I leaned when I'm not sure, because I don't know all the answers, right? Even through intentional prayer, some things still may not be clear, but I'll take that to a covering that I trust, that wise counsel, if you will, and then that's how we work through it. Same thing if my wife and I we have this. And this is a complete agreement. It's not anything formal, but if we have a conflict, right, and it's, yes, y'all, we do argue sometimes, like it's not, if we can't resolve it within 4 or 5 days, which is never truly ever happened, praise the Lord, we'll take it to our wise counsel, because at that point, there's assumptions that the enemy can just, the longer you wait, I think the enemy can get a hold of it. Just like business decisions or anything that you're making. Is this to honor the Lord, or is this me chasing a status or a monetary gain? So there's a lot that's what the beauty, I think, really is combining, having a Christ-centered business, combining the marketplace with ministry. Really, it is difficult. I mean, I think Ramon spoke to it. It's how do you do it? Like, you have to make sales, you have to survive. Yes, but where's the intention? Where's the heart behind that? That's a whole nother game. So I hope that answered that. I take it to wise counsel. Yeah, take it to wise counsel for sure. That's cool.
I have a question.
Kate.
How do you plan on reaching more people besides able-bodied adults? Did you anyone be
So the Lord has been calling my wife and I to the youth. Joel, it's crazy you just mentioned that too. We're hosting an event called Arise on August 9th, actually. But we felt like there's a lot of focus on our age group, which is great. We all need it. We need covered. We need, discipled and ministered as well. But the youth, I think, man, if you think about what they're exposed to, what they have access to, it's like, gosh, it scares me. Having a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter, it's like just seeing what they're growing into, and it's only going to get more advanced at that point. Is, oof, we can go all day on that. But we just want to create an environment to really not only just touch our age groups or elders, but raise up the sons and daughters young. Like, teach them what values are, what Christ-centered homes are. How do you do that? What you can have fun without engaging in alcohol or drugs and all these social media and everything. So yeah, we're hosting a youth faith and fitness event, kind of like a mini weights and worship for the kids. So we're super excited.
That's awesome.
August 9th. Yeah. Thanks, Kate.
I actually wanted to piggyback off of her question, because it was really good, and you mentioned earlier that you have a lot of backlash with social media, and that's one thing that I noticed working with churches, is that they don't tackle social media, which is really sad, because so many things go viral that we shouldn't be seeing, and that shouldn't go viral.
For sure.
And I think that's just a lack of knowledge, honestly, that I'm glad that you are pushing, because when I saw you, I was in Dallas still, and I was like,
cool.
oh, this is awesome. Like,
Cool.
and we were planning to move back to San Antonio, and I was like, man, I want to join this. And then I saw you were like halfway across town. I
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I still want to go.
Yeah.
Because you don't see that a lot.
Sure.
But it's really sad that, there's such a stigma when it comes to being a Christian and being on social media and going viral. And those are the things that we should be pushing. We should be teaching and pushing more Christian content.
For sure.
And so I think that's awesome that it is a different type of content and a different type of niche, that you're in the gym, you're working out, like you said, you're breaking people down, and then you're able to witness to them. It's just a different type of content that a lot of young people actually should enjoy instead of watching all this craziness.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, that's I appreciate you saying that. And hopefully you come check us out. But I will say to that, so yes, even if back to the yes and being obedient, if you're feeling that call to be bold in your faith and put that video out there, do it. Like if you're rooted in that and you know that's coming from the Lord, it does not matter what the keyboard trolls are going to say. That does not matter. We know what the truth is. We know what the Bible says. Be bold. And you don't have to be arrogant about it, right? You're just speaking from the heart, what the Lord's placing on you. It doesn't matter what someone's going to comment from Nevada. It doesn't really matter. And we don't let it, yes, we see the comments, but those are just little pebbles, trying to break down this solid foundation that can't be broken. So that's, if anything, that led to some encouragement there just to go for it. I think just speaking the truth. And I do agree, we need more of it. We need more of it.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you from experience, it's that very adversity that how can you expect to get to the higher levels if you can't even handle the first grade level?
That's so good. So
you
good.
You have to thicken your skin. And
so good.
We talk about God all the time, right? I'm like, well, if we don't like it, just unfriend me.
Heck yeah. Right?
But
Yeah.
going back to what you said, you can't, if you stoop down to their level, well, then you're being like them, and you just
Amen.
I have a question.
Amen. Sure.
Why San Antonio?
I still ask myself. So this is where Nathan's from. So that led us, he was rooted here. So when we connected, this is where he was pretty much established at that point. So that was the initial draw.
If it becomes something larger,
Yeah.
do you bring it back to Pennsylvania and bring the kids back, or no?
If that's what the Lord wants. Yeah.
Yes.
We're
I love Pennsylvania. I think it's beautiful. And
You like the
weather's
winters?
perfect. I love it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Are you
I'm
from there?
I'm from Chicago.
Oh, okay.
But I like this heat down here.
Yeah,
It's a little
it gets there.
extra.
That kind of brings me to a cool point. That's a good question. So we're willing to go anywhere.
Yeah.
We're not willing just to chase where we think it's going to just thrive and be financially successful. So
Well, that's why I was wondering why San Antonio.
yeah, so
Not-
that's
not Pennsylvania.
right.
But
That's
that's
just
amazing.
where he was rooted. Yeah. So we decided to establish here, and we felt that the Lord was bringing us here
Do you
to
have
start it here.
kids and family too?
He does. Yeah. He has two sons, 3 sons total. 2 sons live here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, it's where the Lord wants us to go next is really, and that's cool because you guys can apply that to whatever you do.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
I got my license in 3 different states.
there you go.
I will say San Antonio has been, if you know the prophetic about the city and what God's doing, San Antonio's been prophesied for hundreds of years. A huge revival is going to be break out here business-wise, but also spiritually. The whole state of Texas, but San Antonio's been really highlighted. So that's where you see a lot of business developments,
true.
people moving down here, making that airport over there in San Marcos. They're doing a lot of stuff in South Texas. I just believe that God is sending his people first to go
Yeah.
establish.
That's
and
so
when
good.
it comes popping, the leaders here, they're going to be it's going to be like a revival hub for the nation, I believe.
That's so good,
That's
Joel.
the reason why I came. That's what the vision God showed me, and I've
Yep.
yet to see it, but you just be faithful every day until he does it.
So good.
Where did you come from, Joel?
I'm originally from Africa, then Dallas Fort Worth area. That's where me and Joseph grew up.
But you're still in Dallas.
I'm still in Dallas. Yeah.
I've lived in Dallas too.
Cool.
Yeah. I just want to talk really quick because we're talking about how awesome it is seeing the results, the impact that you're doing. It didn't
Sure.
start off that way.
Right. No. Definitely not.
And I think we're really good at complaining about the world, us as in Christians, right? Man, I hate how it's getting worse, and how this is going on in the government and culture, and we're all blessed by you having those results. And I
Sure.
saw your advertisements all the way in Dallas too.
Sure,
before I even knew you. I'm like, dude, this is dope. But we complain about things without doing them, right?
Yeah.
You're a great example of following that and being that kind of just interruption in social media, being bold about faith.
Yeah.
And it all starts with us, right? We complain about the world
That's
all
good.
the time, but it starts with us. If it really bothers you, change, right? Do something about it. Like play a part, right? Be a contributor, not a consumer. Otherwise, don't complain, right? Don't complain about the world, right? Like you all have value in here. You all like help people in a major way. But I think a lot of times we don't think we're the ones that can be the change. I don't think a lot of times we're the ones that think that we can, create a movement, or God, I'm not called to this, or God, do you want me to do this, right? I think a lot of times if you just have that thing in your heart, act on it, and God will either open that door or He'll close that door. And you'll have peace about it. Like God is not a God of confusion. So if you're confused about what you should do or what you shouldn't do, that ain't God. So don't blame God why you don't have your dreams, right?
That's good.
But I'm not trying to get preachy. I just want to. This is what we do. Like, we're all about the kingdom. We're kingdom-minded first. We have kingdom-minded people that come and speak on this panel. And I think a lot of times when you're in the crowd, you put people on a pedestal. Like, man, you got the results. Man, like, you guys are creating that movement. But you do also understand and realize, like, that also can be you. Like, there's nothing different. It's just time and effort.
Yeah.
There's no real secret to
Not
business.
Not at all.
It's just action, right?
But if we continue to keep around like-minded people and our kids around like-minded people, they have a better chance of being around like-minded people.
Absolutely. Influence is everything, and that's where these relationships begin from, right? So I just wanted to.
I love it.
That was on my heart.
That's great, bro. That's great. That's so good.
Cool. One more question.
I just wanted to piggyback on
Go for it, brother.
Go for it.
Just because you said something that's been very, how do I say it? Like, very dominant to me, where it's like, I say it, when God says jump, I say how high. And even with business or marriage or family, like, the moment you start to just, God says do this, and you don't ask questions, you just go, the more He blesses you.
Yep.
And the more the abundance comes.
Yep.
Right? So the more obedient you are, the more you hear Him, and the more He starts to bless you.
So good.
And sometimes people don't understand that.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
Because there's a different perspective. When you hear the yes, and then when you do the yes, it's different. Because you're like, oh, I actually proved to myself that I can do this.
Yeah.
And then your eyes open, you're like, man, what else can I do? That's why I asked you the question about has that impacted you moving from Pennsylvania, leaving everything, coming to San Antonio? Has that impacted in how you make business decisions or just decisions as a whole, because you have God in you?
Yes.
Right? And
what
what He brings your way, it's all intentional.
Yes.
So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and that's the yes. And now it's not just, oh, this feels good to me in the flesh, so I'm going to do it. But that's something we've learned. Like, the Lord is aligning everything. He aligns your steps. So keep giving it back to Him, and it's not of your own strength and decisions. So
Right.
that's I'm learning that more and more every day too, man.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Different levels. Yes, sir.
What's one lesson God has taught you through your entrepreneurial journey, which you believe every Christian business owner should know?
Oh, that's a good question.
Ooh.
Here we go. Get spicy.
Submission. Submission. If I could put it in one word, submission. And I'll build on that a little bit. So I always was a performance-based person, always trying to prove that I could meet the KPI or win the game, just little things like that. So always was my own strength and my own endurance. So I always felt like, oh, I just need to work harder, or oh, I could have done this different. Instead, it's like, Father, where do I go? So it's more submitting that it's not my own strength, it's not my own endurance, and there's consistency in there too. But submission and surrender would be how I would answer that. Just letting the Lord have it, and having full faith that He has it. We know He has it, but if you don't believe that or not. And if you can believe that, surrender and that submission. But yeah, surrender and submission. Because nobody wants, like, if you think about just the world, like if we're in a UFC, you don't want to get submitted. But I mean, I don't mind being submitted or being submissive to the Lord. He is abundant. He's faithful. He's the way. So that's what I would say. I would just try to relearn everything that I grew up in a very performance-based household, so I had to eliminate a lot of things from that standpoint, from the world and myself. So that's how I'd answer that, submission.
That's a great answer. We got time for one more question. It's on you.
In business, how did your orphan spirit manifest? And then later, when you really walked through that sonship, can we get kind that you really saw pop up?
Oh, that's so good. Oh, so before I was saved, I'll give that piece first. So before I was saved, I personally, just part of my testimony was I was insecure, very reliant on worldly substances to try to suppress these insecurities, and I was very reliant on the world to feel good, vanity in the gym and everything like that. And when I realized what sonship is, and understanding that my Father has me, I'm never alone. I think when I was, I always felt like it was my own strength and my own, kind of going off of that question too. So I felt like it was always me and my decision of how to perform better and do better. So it led to this heavy weight that I learned to realize as a son that wasn't mine to carry any longer. So if I could define sonship for me, it's just being able to cast that weight to him was really what did it. It's really what did it, and it is freeing. It's true freedom, being able to surrender and submit that way. And there was, there's times where, I'm still tempted to do certain things, of course, but knowing that I'm a son, there's no chance it's going to happen. I give it to him. There's a lot more. If you want to piggyback off of that, I can keep going, but whatever you'd like. You can. Sure, go ahead.
That's awesome. It's amazing. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I guess, I would say from not like a sales perspective, but I would say that I've noticed, in business, people are quick to want to close something.
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
I feel like what I've been learning recently, and I've been challenged to do, is hold this tension between, learning business and, how to do that in, the timing, because I don't come from a business background.
Sure.
And then also letting the Lord lead me.
Yeah.
Trusting that if he told me to do what I'm going to do, he's going to bring my team.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, sometimes it manifests as insecurity or impulsiveness.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
later, I guess, and I feel like the answer is going to be peace, but how did that sonship, if somebody came in just to look at your business, not knowing that you were a Christian, how would they see and feel the difference that, the Lord did, but, the difference from orphan to son?
Ooh, that's good. I think, so that's a good scenario. If you were to walk in, I think, obviously if you're sensitive to the Spirit, it's a little different, but I think where the heart is. So if you're you mentioned sales, and I thought about sometimes it's tense when you're trying to close a client, and you have to use certain tactics that the world teaches you that are a bit aggressive and aren't really godly. I guess we could just say that. So something that I think you would experience if you walked in, let's say I was training you, for example. I believe that you would feel that I'm in it to see you be the best daughter that you are for the Lord. So where my heart is. So I'm not just trying to close you on our highest package. I'm helping you see the value of what this could do for you as a daughter, rather than what it does to our bottom line financially. So on sales calls, I struggled with that. I didn't, you have to be pushy to a certain extent. I didn't want to be pushy, right? I didn't want to force somebody that doesn't have the money to go into debt to be in this program. But I also did not wholeheartedly believe in the product that I was selling. So it's very different. So everything that is purpose driven now with the Lord, there's no guilt or shame that comes with that, knowing that this is not only going to help you physically, it's also going to bring you more closer to the Lord. So I think there's a piece to where you have to have full faith in what you're standing for and what you're standing on, and don't settle for it if it's just going to make you money. If it's for the kingdom, then the rest, he'll take care of the rest.
Okay, coach, you better preach.
Yeah.
That's how people can look at our industry too, is salesy, but I sell life insurance, but I also help people with retirement planning and everything else. But I look at it as I'm helping this person.
Yeah.
I had a friend that his husband passed away a month after we met. He refused, said they didn't need it. He had a heart attack at 33.
Sure.
And
Wow.
it just reminds me, I did my job. I met with them. I can't push them to do anything. I'm
Yeah.
At least I spoke to them, but I just wish I could have helped more. And I have been there for her since, and still bringing her and the kids breakfast and trying to
That's awesome.
be there as much as I can because it's hard, especially 3 girls and he was so young.
Sure.
But it's just, yeah.
Sure.
I have one more question, please.
Yeah, I got you. I want to make a comment real quick. I got you, and then you'll be the last one. I love your verbiage and how you're talking about like selling in the sense of talking to your daughter, right? Like when you have children,
Yeah.
right? Like you look at them from a place of like what's best for you, and
Yeah.
I do this out of love. And I just noticed that was the verb. Was that on purpose? Is that like, do you do that in like your mind to like get you in that mind frame of like, all right, it's not about sales, it's about transformation, and like I love this person.
Amen.
And I want them to do better.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
For sure.
I love
And
that.
if you
Brother,
think about
sister,
it, like we're
brother,
brothers and
brother.
sisters
Yeah,
in
yeah.
here. If a brother or sister's hurt or they need direction, and your heart is for the Lord, you're guiding them and helping them. But yeah, for sure, man.
All right, my man. Last
Okay.
one.
Yeah, please. I gotta know. So the question that Danny asked you,
Yeah.
I'm all about family, so forgive me for drifting the conversation to family.
No, this is good.
So your interaction with your in-laws, right? What would you have done differently? Like not knowing what you know now. What
Yeah.
would you have done?
So I would have postured my heart in a completely different place. So I was only looking at it through my lens of, hey, this is what the Lord wants us to do here. This is also what we want to do. Like jump on board or get out of the way. It was a very bad attitude toward.
No. Sorry, I didn't ask you right. What like if you were them?
Oh, if I was them.
Yes. What would you do
Ooh.
differently?
So I'm the in-laws in this scenario.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
my
easy for you.
I mean, yeah, it'd be good. I'd give grace for
Do
sure.
they have any other grandkids? Any other family?
They do on my brother-in-law's side, yeah.
In Pennsylvania still?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So, from the in-law perspective, man, this is good because I could be put in this scenario. I could be in this scenario later. So let me think through this. If I was, grace would be for sure the answer. But I will say this. I was thinking about this the other day. As a parent, I would want to make sure that my son and daughter are equipped enough to be able to go out and do. So I think it starts beyond just how I'd react in that scenario. So I want to make sure that they're raised in a kingdom household where they are equipped enough and I know they can handle themselves. And then 2, whether I agree on the decision or not, I would let them go.
Yeah.
I would let them go. And I know that's a very like Christian answer. But would it be hard? Absolutely. 100%. But would I pray with them intentionally, make sure that they're in the right heart posture before they land on the decision permanently? Would I do anything I could do to guide them that way? 100%. But yeah, Joe said it. Grace would be the word, but I think it's not to repeat myself, but it's starts well beyond that. If I know I did my role as a spiritual leader in my home, I'm going to be confident that they're going to be equipped enough to go out and do. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Good question. That's a good scenario. That's so good.
Finish strong. I like
That's so
that.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, everybody, give it up for Donny.
Oh, appreciate y'all.
Thanks so much for
Yeah.